So let us look at the concept of lifting state up. Now, in the case of nested components or parallel components, sometimes we need to keep the state of the parent component updated if any change happens in the child component. This basic concept is called lifting of state. So if all of you should have taken a look at the props and states before this, so you know that props can be passed from parent to child component, right? So even a state can be passed as props. Like you can pass within the props attribute, you can say this dot state dot value, it will get passed. But the problem is in the child component, props are read only. So in some use case, if you want to change the state which is coming as a prop for your child component, you will not be able to do that. So to fix this, parent component can pass method, like say for example in this handler, this itself it is going to pass as a method prop to the child component. The child component now can call this method and this method will work and update the state. This is the concept of this. Let's understand this better. Basically, so if you look here, see this is a component A which has got two nested components here. So in this, basically the state will be like, you create a value, this method updates, and there is a method which updates the state. So in this component C, you basically pass this method itself. So now this component C is going to call the parent's prop method and update the parent state with values from this say child component. So let us see how this works. So now if I say, now we have this app list here, right? So let's do one thing. Now imagine that I want to change the, let's say props2 equal to, in the parent component app, I have in nested app list. I have nested app list. So this app list component, as we already seen, shows the list of values and all. So now let's go back to the app.js, and what I want to do is I want to change this dot state dot subject in my child component. So as soon as it comes over here, maybe in the render method or somewhere, I want to do it. But the problem is you cannot say this dot props dot, what is that value, subject or props2. It was Sunday. If I say this, if I say so, this won't work. Okay, let's see. What I'm doing is I'm passing this app, this dot state dot subject to app list and trying to change it over here. It won't work. You cannot do it like that. Okay, you can access it. You can say like console log. Same thing if you do a console log and check once, it will work. That's because, so it is going to show you the 56. See, it's going to, this is if you see here, let us look at which line it's coming from. So this dot props, we can try it in the constructor also, but what we'll do is we can do it. Let's see what value gets passed here. Component did mount. We still haven't, this is not run actually. So let's see why it's not running. So if you see here, when we click this, it will show you the value here. Test Wednesday. Let's clean all of this. Let's clear it up. So test Wednesday, it has dropped the, so this is the prop which has got passed, but I cannot modify it. When I give a modification, it gives me an error. So basically how I can update this is, I need to pass the entire method. The app.js has got this class handler, right? So instead of passing this subject and change here, use is, I will say, I have this change handler. I'm going to pass this whole method as a prop. And now I'm going to pass this method as a prop to my app list. And now within this, I can call my method. Let's say we have a button here. We have to give on camel case. Click. Sorry. And now what we will do is we are going to call the props. So this method is going to execute. Now this method is not in the child component, but we are going to lift the state up. Okay. So let's make a change to that. Let's save all of this. Let's see what it renders. We got an error, so let's see what is the error here. Props to, oh, my mistake. This dot props is the keyword to get all the props, and then props to. I just want to see the button being rendered, and then we'll go ahead. Okay, so change. So right now what's happening is the component is getting re-rendered. Okay. So what we can do here is I want to change the value to something different if it comes from the child component. So what we can do here, we can go to the onChange handler and we will take the whole method and create a new method. Call it change handler 2. And the only thing this does is it's going to say props state changed by child by nested comp, or we'll say lifted state lifting state up. So, okay, this is what it's going to do, and just going to remove all the rest of the things not required. Excuse me. And now we need to pass this method. And of course we need to do what? We need to bind this method. If we don't bind this method, it won't be available for us. If anybody is having confusion about this binding, please go refer to the method and events video about the same. So let's come back here. So this is bound in the constructor, and let's go to the app list. And here what we will do here is, now we are going to call this, we pass this, okay. We're going to pass this one. Props 2 is going to be change handler 2. So let's see what it does. Let me just check once more that we have done it all right. Change handler 2. Yeah, it's going to do this. So now when we go here and click on this, now it's going to change it to lifting state. See, the whole thing has changed. Now let me start again. Classes Sunday. Now this is a tremendous thing, like, this is a nested component, but still I'm able to access the state. So this is called lifting state up. So how do you do that? You pass the method to the child as a prop, and then you invoke the method from the child component. Please pause the video here and complete this. You should be able to change the parent component state. Okay, this should be Sunday. It should get changed to this text. Lifting state up. Pause the video here and complete it.